Hello and thanks for joining us for this, our second edition of Road Trip Montserrat. This is our little labor of love of driving through the highways and byways of the island, seeing how Montserrat is recovering following the ravages caused by the Soufriere Hills volcano. Let us start the road trip from the parking lot of Radio Montserrat, and we are going to drive, taking a left down the Davy Hill Road. Radio Montserrat was relocated from, if you recall, its original home at the Groves Agricultural Botanical Station. Some folks will say, well, the original home of Radio Montserrat was in fact Alveston. We shall be touring Alveston as well as part of this road trip. So we are driving down the Davy Hill main road. We've just passed the Tropical Mansions Hotel. Coming up ahead, the complex of Arrow's Man Shop. Arrow, of course, the soca king of the world, the late Arrow. So his Arrow's Man Shop, very, very popular back in the day in Plymouth, of course, is now almost covered entirely by volcanic ash. As we continue rolling down the Davy Hill main road. For those people who are familiar with Davy Hill, and for those who might not be familiar with Davy Hill and areas in the north of the island, this area has always been quite popular. Davy Hill, the St. John's area, the Causeway area. But due to the relocation of hundreds of people from the southern part of the island, basically from Plymouth, the eastern part, southern part of the island, the population of this area has, to all intents and purposes, quadrupled. Granted, a lot of people left Montserrat. Population at its peak around 1995 was about 11,000. We now have approximately 5,000. And it's a residential area. There are a number of local businesses as well. Many of the businesses that are now located in Davy Hill were previously sited in the Plymouth area, but with the volcanic eruption, commercial activity had to continue, business activity, government activity had to continue. There was apparently some discussion at one point of just evacuating the entire island. That is how serious the situation got. Looking straight ahead, if you can just peek at the top of the hill, that's the new site for the new Radio Montserrat office and administrative complex. Should be ready for occupation, business, programming by early next year. And that building is atop a hill known as Garling Hill. So we are coming down now to the bottom section of Davy Hill down in the valley. We'll take a right here. This is the Causeway area. And as we take a right here, we are entering the area which will eventually become the new capital of Montserrat. At the moment, it is simply being referred to as the new town, but in time, I'm sure a proper name will be given to it, whether we call it New Plymouth or something of that sort. So construction in progress. This project is being coordinated and managed by the Montserrat Development Corporation. The Montserrat Development Corporation was established as a government company, a government-owned company, and it is responsible for managing the infrastructural development of what will become the new Montserrat capital, and also other issues and elements pertaining to what the new Montserrat will be like. And that, of course, includes tourism promotion and overall business development management. So this site that we're looking at, this was previously Piper's Pond. I need to mention that this entire area, pre-volcano, was unoccupied. This area was largely reserved for agricultural purposes and not crop-type agriculture, more animal husbandry, so a lot of cattle farming, small livestock kept in this area. So the plan is for this entire area here to be redeveloped. The process has started, and it will house a number of businesses. The plan is to have international investors placing their money into this area, where it will house a number of major business establishments, possibly the relocation of some established businesses which relocated from Plymouth to this area. So this will be the new town. And the foundation now is being laid for the business enterprises, business entities that will be sited here. Let us continue, and straight ahead, that red-roofed building, red on the roof, white on the walls, is the Montserrat Cultural Center. This building was donated to the government and people of Montserrat by Sir George Martin of the UK. Sir George Martin, of course, being the former manager or producer of the Beatles. He set up and successfully ran A Studios here for a number of years. A number of major international recording artists here. Paul McCartney, Sting and the band The Police, Elton John, Stevie Wonder was here, Billy Joel. Arrow recorded some of his material at A Studios as well. A Studios has also fallen victim to the ravages of the volcano. The building on the right is a structure that houses a number of offices on the top floor, local businesses at the bottom. It was intended to be the new public market, but that idea apparently never caught on in the way it was intended to catch on. So the building, this premises, is now being put to other uses. There are a number of business establishments there, souvenir shops, food shops, and the like. We just passed the relocated Montserrat War Memorial. Iconic for the Montserrat War Memorial, of course, is the clock stand. And for those of us old enough to recall, the clock stand or the clock tower or the war memorial at the waterfront in Plymouth served so many purposes to the Montserrat community over the years. The principal purpose, of course, being the war memorial. But it also served as a venue for a number of cultural activities and also many political rallies as well. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the First World War. A number of Montserratians perished in that conflict, and we remember them. That's it for this second edition of Road Trip Montserrat. Thanks for viewing, thanks for all your comments. We shall continue our road trip around Montserrat along the highways and byways, looking at how the island is coping and recovering in the aftermath of the eruptive phase, we hope that's it, of the Soufriere Hills volcano.